Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the preseason forward spot of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zofa, and I'm joined by my co host, Late Riser. How's it going, buddy?
Doing good, man. Always nice to do like a little two-person chat as well. I've always enjoyed these, and I'm looking forward to diving into the forwards, man. I saw your team selection video early on today. Spoiler alert. For the first time in a long time, I think our thoughts are fully aligned. Like, I don't think, like, even the teams that you're thinking of, the structure you're thinking of, the backups you're thinking of, the changes you're thinking of, the picks we like it's 99% aligned. I genuinely don't think we've been this close in terms of just being aligned in terms of our thoughts. How do you feel about that? You think I've become dull or I think you've become
I
sexier?
think LR 3.0 is super done.
So now there's a 3.0.
Yeah.
No, man, it's no, no, because like Munoz is sexy as a pick. And you could have gone for an Arsenal defender. So I feel like we've maybe sort of converged into the same person
Is
now.
it a template you think, a Salah and Haaland template? It feels like it. The teams are quite similar, and a lot of the comments also to that video said that.
I, I don't know about the template. Honestly, I've not been that active on Twitter. Like I've been talking to maybe three or four people about the chat. I've been active on our Discord, been talking to the people there, and I haven't since a week. I haven't even been on the FPL side tinkering. I'm like, not much information has changed in terms of information. Once you know the structure, and we did that draft discussion video, you're just mentally aware of what kind of structures and possibilities are there. I'm like, now it all depends on what information, if any, emerges in the last round of friendlies, and then Monday is the actual proper serious. Okay, this is what I'm committing to, sort of tinker. That's gonna happen.
Let's talk structures now. 3-5-2 versus 3-4-3. Traditionally, we've all favored a 3-5-2. Why are we both on 3-4-3 this season? And keep in mind, it's a bit strange right now because a lot of forwards are unselectable. Your Tony, Solanke, Jackson. I think the forward pool is actually smaller this season than it has been previously. So why are we going with three forwards?
We're not definitely going with three forwards, but I'll tell you what the thinking might be, and there are two reasons I reckon. A, Ollie Watkins could potentially be again for the third time in a row in the Salah and Haaland conversation. Like he was the highest returner last year, and as things stand, we are not starting with him. And he's got incredible fixtures game week 3 onwards. Just if Isak and Haaland are doing bits and you want Watkins, it's easier to go Muniz or 7 million or 7.5 million striker to Watkins compared to 4.5 million in terms of moving the squad around. And secondly, like the 6 million forward that both of us like just feels like a more of a reliable, high floor, sure thing compared to the midfielders that might have a higher ceiling, but I don't think they have a as high a floor as the forward we like. I think those are the two things that are in my head at the moment.
That's interesting because I've been thinking if I need to get out of Muniz, I actually don't have many other options I can really go to with that bracket. But I think I'm there exactly for the reason you mentioned. It's an easy move to a Watkins or a Havertz, which I want to do later on, and that's more in my mind. But there is good value in that 5.5 midfielder bracket, especially. I think we
The
are
thing is,
Mintes, Smith Rose, etc.
also one thing that happens when you go with a 3-4-3 like we are, you're not stopping yourself from going for that midfield bracket if you want to. Like 3 weeks later, what it could mean is that you downgraded Salah to Palmer or Saka if something like that emerges, and you've upgraded a 4.5 million midfielder to a 5.5 million midfielder. You changed a 7 million midfielder to a 5. So it's not like you're going to price yourself out of that bracket. It's still very much accessible, I reckon. That's a couple of reasons. And we're still not nailed on. Like Minte and ESR, like you mentioned on the video, are more
Yeah.
on that conversation on Monday, where Plus is going to be joining us on Monday, where we're going to be having a deep dive on midfielders. And then either Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be doing the game week one pod. It's here, man. It's here.
Community Shield is on Saturday, man. 2 days later from the spot.
Wait, the Shield is on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it was Sunday as well. It's on
It's
Saturday.
a. This has just changed my world. I need to figure out the. It's on Saturday. I had no idea. This has rocked my world, man. Like I'm just so used to it being on Sunday. But yeah, man, I think things are going to heat up on our Discord as well. Just a little bit of a like and subscribe plug because I've realized the last 4 or 5 videos we do it right at the end because we are so consumed in giving our content out and focusing on our content that we forget to tell the people that if you like the work that we've done preseason, and there's a lot of work we've done this preseason, if you haven't already checked it out, I insist you check out the chat that I did with Josh. Speaking about Liverpool, he contextualized Liverpool so beautifully in terms of what to expect in the slot. If you're just about starting watching the content right now, I think the best place to start is the video that Zoff and Pras did on wildcard windows. So check that out. We've all done about 15-minute videos of our drafts as well. If you want to check it out, we've already done a 2 hour long marathon pod on the best defender picks. So there's a lot of content for you to check out. We spoke to FPL Browser about Ipswich, which I thought was a fascinating conversation. So there's lots out there. And if you like what we've done this preseason, then just show us some love, hit the like and subscribe button, and we'd be grateful. And also, this is not the content, all the content that we've done this season. This year, we've started been doing a little bit of content, not for free as well, behind a paywall as well. So if you do want to get access to that too, then you can become a member on YouTube or Patreon. And the best benefit of doing that is getting access to our Discord, which is just like a mini sort of community of about 200 odd people where we're chilling, hanging, talking football, talking fitness, talking food, talking shows all day, all the time. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
We'll also be posting all the images you see on the defense pod and this pod on our Patreon if you want to go through those. I think that's a big advantage. And also ad-free podcasts. We have an RSS feed now set up and good to go. Speaking of ads, let's start with our sponsor plug.
As always, all the stats and images, and there are some beautiful images on here, which Fantasy Football Scout gives us access through to Statsbomb. And those visuals that you're going to see are just beautiful. There's some very cool new stats as well in there. Like one of the stats that we are going to cover on this podcast, which is new, is XG per shot that a particular forward takes, which I thought was quite fascinating. So, if you want access to all of this data, not just on your PC, but on your phone through an application, because they've launched a new application as well, which is very easy to use. You need to become a member, download the app on App Store or Google Play. And if you're becoming a member, then you can support us by clicking on the link in the description below because we're affiliates.
And as you guys know, the NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services, and if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 months bonus on top. Weekly show recommendation time. Hit me.
I've got nothing, man. Genuinely got nothing. I have been doing nothing but watching FPL content, football content, and that's all I've been watching. Honestly, I've got nothing. You got anything?
I've been watching the show called Cowboy Cartel on Apple. Quite interesting. About a Mexican cartel who used to work with horses and all that stuff. Quite cool.
Why don't we throw this question out to the listeners? If you guys have something really nice to recommend, and we watch a lot of stuff, why don't you let us know in the comments below? I'd be happy to check some stuff out when it comes to your recommendations.
Yep. Look forward to that. Definitely need something to watch. And like you, I've been consuming a lot of FPL content. Shout out to Planet FPL. They're doing the Clash of the Correspondent Week, I think they call it, where they do interviews with all the clubs, various fans and all this stuff. Very informative and it's interesting. I think a lot of the opinions we'll talk about more on the midfield pod rather, on Eze, Gordon, etc. Some very interesting things over there. Anyway, moving on. Nord also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Right, let's get stuck in now. Where should we start? Should we jump right straight into the Statsbomb data?
No, I think we start with the big man. I think that's the biggest question that people have on their mind. And I'll pose this question to you, Love. Why haven't you considered a single tinker without him?
Because he plays Chelsea game week 1.
Yeah, man, what's up with that high line of yours? It's going to take a while. He's a genuine. If people are thinking that Haaland's not a captaincy option game week 1, he's a genuine captaincy option game week 1. Like, if you're going without Haaland and earlier you were worried about just game week to Ipswich at home, I think you need to worry about game week on Chelsea away too. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think it's just a reliable captaincy option now. Earlier, I was going to captain Salah to Ipswich. Now I'm going to do Haaland at Chelsea, Haaland against Ipswich, and game week 3. Even though Salah has a better fixture, I'll probably go with Haaland away to West Ham that week. So the fact that I have my captaincy sorted for the first 3 weeks is enough reason.
But why Haaland though? Like initially you not considered it. What's the macro thinking? Just not an option. Don't think anybody else is as reliable a captaincy option.
The thing is, nobody else has had the full preseason. I'm not sure about minutes for Saka early on. Saka will probably start, but getting subbed off at 60, 70. Palmer, I'm yet to see what role he's going to play, Foden, etc. Salah is the only alternative I would consider, but I'm yet to be convinced that he's going to get as many goals. I know Josh mentioned now Salah is an output merchant. We do expect output from him, but again, going away to Ipswich, the same thing was at home. At Anfield, I'd be more convinced, but I just don't see a reason not to get Haaland. And I think the point we've made from start, it's easier to get him out than to get him in. I don't want to be scrambling game week 2 if he hits a hat trick in game week 1.
And he's the most known quantity out of everybody in FPL at the moment.
That's
So
what it is.
it's easier. We learn a lot in the first 3-4 weeks. It's easier to move into the things we learn if you have a Haaland draft in place. And I think what has also happened, because I think since we started drafting, it's been with Haaland and maybe Salah in our team. So we don't even, in my head, I thought I would make an alternate team. I don't even know what an alternate team looks like. And I haven't even been tempted to get Palmer or Saka or Foden because they're joining the camp so late. The picks have sort of them ruled themselves out because of how deep these players have gone into tournament football. But one thing, I was looking and I was like, Haaland, if you see the data here, in 2023, he got 217 points. The season before that, in his first year, he got 272 points. Now, which Haaland is the actual Haaland? If you remember last year, he was struggling with injuries on multiple occasions. Like he was through a niggle. He already had a muscular sort of niggle 2 weeks ago, that Pep spoke about. It's been cleared and he's fine right now. But his floor could just be higher. What's interesting that emerged, if you look at the XG data here, is that Haaland in the last year underperformed his XG delta by 2.32. He had the same XG as he did in this first season, pretty much 29 XG. That's more XG generated in fewer minutes
Exactly.
in
That's the point I wanted
in the
to make
last
to you.
season. In the first season, he overperformed his XG by 7.5. Now, which is the true Haaland? I looked at previous data. Last season was the only season in Haaland's career history where he scored fewer goals than his XG accumulated. That's it. So Haaland's last season was probably his floor. I don't think he's capable of having a worse season than that. He's young, he's improving, and he's a fast starter. I mentioned that earlier as well. So that's the convincing. You don't need to make a convincing case for Haaland, but if you are thinking and on the edge and why we've been pro Haaland throughout the last month of preseason coverage, this is it.
Yeah, I was trying to find reasons. Maybe he won't have all the support guys, but I think KDB is fit. Foden might start from the bench, but again, Bob has looked really good. Man City are just a known quantity. I know Pep has been trying to sort of downplay it by saying that we are going to start slow, etc., etc., but I just don't believe that.
And it's what Pras keeps telling us, right? All these years, when you have the best manager in the league, arguably coaching the best team in the league, we never had a nailed on City asset. Now we have the best team in the league, having an XG funnel. They literally play to create chances for Erling Haaland. That's how they play their game. It's just too much of a no-brainer. Yeah. I feel like we don't. If Palmer and Saka and Foden would have had a full preseason, it was maybe a conversation to have, but it isn't because of that, in my opinion.
Correct. I'm totally on board. I'm open to selling him down the line for somebody who I know, again, is going to be fully fit. Because even Watkins might take time to get to full sharpness. I think, again, Watkins is somebody I'm looking at around game week 4.
It could be Haaland to Watkins game week 4 if things present, but it's just nicer and rosier and more comfortable to start with.
Yeah. Again, looking at the underlying numbers, last year 55 big chances, scored 21. The previous year 59 big chances. So again, he actually got more big chances per minute. Again, last year just converted way fewer.
Exactly. 10 more big chances missed, essentially. Yeah, man. And I don't think that's the Haaland. I think that's a little bit of his injury issues, etc., coming into play last season.
Statsbomb data?
Statsbomb Rata.
I think this is another forward now who I think is pretty popular and hasn't left a single draft since game week 1. Nailed on for you?
Nailed on for me, nailed on should be nailed on for everybody. There's genuinely no reason for anybody to not on Alexander Isak. The only reason it would be is if Wilson was fit, and Wilson isn't fit. Newcastle have great fixtures. Joe Linton and Bruno Gomes are going to be playing in midfield. It's just he I think he was top 5 or top 6 for conversion rates last year. So he's a very incisive finisher. He's on penalties. He's going to be playing all the games because they don't have anybody else. Newcastle have no European distractions. I can't think of a reason to not own him. And I think he's genuinely a million underpriced. He should be 9.5 million.
I think he should be
I-
10.
like
I would
he's
price him over
underpriced.
Watkins.
That's the thing. Is if we are going to look at a lot of data from the tables as well, from the members tables as well. He's top 3, top 4 for literally everything, and he's above Watkins on more than a few metrics as well. So yeah, and if you look at the tables here also, right? Essentially, when you're viewing these Statsbomb data images that we show you, more red, orange, yellow is better than more blue. Because if you look at the bottom of this image, blue is the low XG shots. He's just got such a huge chunk of orange, yellow, and red, which you like.
In such central areas.
And it helps that he's an excellent finisher anyway. Like, I'm confident as hell. Like, I mentioned because he served you so well at the end of last season that this is probably a pick that you want to hold on season long. It's quite
There's
interesting
no
that I heard you say
reason
that.
not to, especially with Newcastle not playing in the Champions League this season, and they don't have any of this Europa rubbish either to worry about. Give Eddie Howe's teams a whole week to work, and I think they can do wonders.
Yes. Yeah, nothing more to add.
Let's not spend more time there now. A pod favorite, Chris Wood. And I looked at his stats now quite closely compared to Muniz in my video earlier. Now look at the quality of chances he's getting. There's no attempts you see that are very few low XG attempts, I would say, right? And you see the ones that are there that are circles there, they're mostly headers. That's why they're lower XG. They're still actually decent shots he's getting, but so many shots you see right there in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, man. He tends to get a lot of big chances. I think he was top of the table amongst forwards for XG per shot. So he averaged the highest XG per shot amongst all forwards in that season. He's a good pick, but I just think my genuine thing is yes, last season was probably his ceiling in terms of how good a player he is. I don't think he can do better than what he did last season. And I do think Taiwo's probably a better striker. So if Taiwo gets fit soon, I'm worried about his minutes. And that minutes concern is huge. And I feel like Forest are offering you options in midfield at 5.5 million that are very interesting. Morgan Gibbs White exists too. He doesn't take pens, which is a factor. Those 4 or 5 free goals throughout the season matter as well. So these are the factors that sort of influence me.
They're also in the market for another striker.
Yeah, man. Would you think he's a good first 3 game week punt?
Yes, if I was playing pure first 3 game weeks, I do like that. But you have to be prepared. He's going to be playing, I think, 65 to 70 minutes every game. The only way now you're going to get Taiwo back to full fitness is by giving him minutes. So you're expecting the substitution for Wood all the time. But my whole thing with Forest is that they don't seem like a team who will score many goals, whereas Fulham do.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like, if anything, Forest are almost better at the slightly better, tougher games or middling games where
No teams. That's
I
the thing
think
we saw even with Wolves.
like they're great at counter attacking. Like if the first 3 games are Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Wolves at home, Forest are going to get a lot of possession. I don't think that the kind of team that knows what to do with so much possession. Generally, like it's like United. Like it's like we're not great at controlling games and creating chances. Like we are better in transition and playing when our backs are against the wall as a counter attacking team. So
Just going back to that point, I don't know if it's necessarily true. Now, Russell Martin's team, Southampton, they're going to keep a lot of possession, and they're like a lot of the old LVG style. They just keep a lot of the ball, right? LR, have you gone there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here
fine.
now. Yeah.
We're fine. Yeah, it dropped for a second. We are back now. But yeah, and again, Bournemouth, I think, are going to keep more of the ball, and I think Wolves will as well. I don't think they're necessarily the sides they have to break down. I do think they will get counter-attacking opportunities, but I think past Southampton, both the other teams are potentially better than Forest.
And if they're going to play on the counter, I prefer the midfielders to Wood. Like they are the guys who are the pacey runners that run behind the last line. Woods is going to be the guy flicking on. He's not going to have the pace to reach the final third. So I'm not feeling Wood. I don't want to sit on the fence here. I'm not feeling
Yeah,
Wood.
we'll do our ranking of budget forwards and forwards in each bracket right at the end. But
Yeah. What
as
we're
of
doing
now,
now is just talking our way through the forwards.
and presenting the data. Ultimately, the data is there for you guys to make your own judgments. What we are giving is our opinions.
And if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, we recommend you watch this on YouTube because these short maps on a big TV screen or a big laptop screen are just going to be beautiful to watch.
And thanks again to Tom Freeman to pulling them for us. These aren't directly accessible in the members area. We've asked for them, so everyone should really take advantage of this while we can. Next up, your boy,
Go on.
Darwin Núñez. Not really a game week 1 pick, I would say, but I think let's discuss his merits nevertheless. What do you think?
It depends. I would be interested if he was Slot's first choice striker. Now, there are a couple of reports that we've read where Slot spoke to Darwin and said that I want to make you my first choice striker, etc. as well. But what I liked about what Josh told me is that they're going to be working on control and systems rather than what happened in the last season under Klopp, which was Salah, Darwin, magic / chaos. So I want to see how that translates into if Darwin's getting even higher XG per game, then I'm interested, even though he might not finish all of those chances because at the end of the day, he still costs 7.5 million. So that's where we are with Darwin. I think I still rate the player. I still like the guy. He's just not a game week 1 pick. Very happy to monitor and see what happens. There could be a world in which we could want him by game week 4 also for the 2 home games. So I'm just keeping an open mind and seeing. What's interesting out here is he's only got 2 dark reds in the center of the box.
I was just thinking that it's a very different shot map from Isak, right?
Yeah. It's like a lot of yellows and light blues, not very orange and red heavy, which is something I don't like.
Not as much of a poacher.
Yeah.
The big man himself. Okay, look at this shot map. Everything is within the 6-yard box. No shots from out wide. So many high XG chances. This is fantastic.
I think we've covered Haaland enough. Just have nothing more to add.
It's unbelievable, this shot map over here. So many high XG chances. And what I can't get over is just how narrow all of them are. I remember reading a stat. He was caught something like on the offside only once or twice last season. Unreal. I don't know what he's going to do to Chelsea game week 1.
And I tell you what, I mentioned this a couple of pods ago. I think he's in for a 30-goal season if he stays fit because he looks leaner, quicker, faster. I don't know what it is about how I'm watching him play. His movement is sharper, etc. He felt a little heavier on the legs last year when you watched him. Like you got the sense that, okay, this guy might crumble anytime. I like that he's lost a little bit of weight, and I think that's going to improve his game.
Do you think City will sign another forward to replace Alvarez?
They should.
What you just mentioned regarding fitness, it had me now thinking now that they don't have Alvarez. So many games now with the Champions League, Cup competitions, etc. Who are they going to be playing as a centre forward?
Yeah.
Probably the false nine thing again.
City are going to sign. I mean, I'm a little irritated at Atletico Madrid also for paying so much money. So much money for Alvarez.
Man. He's a good player.
Yeah. He's
and I think he had a lot of time left on his contract as well. Age, etc.
But he's
everything works.
He's not 95 up to 95 million euros good. You know what I'm saying?
That's the
like
market.
He's a good. All right, man. I'm talking to a Chelsea fan. I forget that. He's going to say that's the market. Yeah, but I'm pretty certain City sign a striker. Like I don't see a world in which they don't.
That'll be interesting because I haven't seen them linked with anyone yet. But with City, you don't usually even hear that. They usually you usually hear it on Monday and they sign someone on Tuesday.
It's normally just Ornstein saying, "Oh, City have done this."
Yeah,
like that's all. So yeah.
Mateta, another pick I don't think we'll be looking at for game week 1. He's still attending the Olympics. Although I think that game is probably this weekend. If he wants to be available for game week 1, he could scoot back.
He's joining the camp 5 days before the first day of the season. That's what I read.
So probably, I don't think they'd start him game week 1, but they could because he's going to be match fit. It's not like he's been sitting on his ass.
Yeah, there could be. There's a very good chance he starts game week 1. It's not like he needs to gel in with the team. He's played under this manager 13, 14 games last season. Incredible stats last year. Under Glasner, 13 goals, 13 games, a goal a game. You love that. But the one thing that, so when you watched Palace and you're starting to think about what Mateta did, it almost seemed like every shot he took went
It's a
inside the
goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
8.11
like,
XG, 14 goals.
yeah. So he overperformed his XG. And is Mateta that good? He could be that good, but we don't know for sure. So we take that XG overperformance with a pinch of salt, is how I feel about Mateta. Do you think he's 7 point? I found it weird. I thought like Mateta and Muniz were sort of on a similar trajectory at the end of last season. Like not much between them. And one 7.5 and one 6. Do you think it felt odd to me. I felt like they need to be maybe 0.5 million apart in price. Like the 1.5 million difference does feel big to me.
End of season bias, definitely, because of how strong he finished.
I mean, Muniz finished strongly too. He didn't do
But
much
Muniz,
wrong.
the
I thought
thing is, he
Muniz.
didn't have the hauls. I think a lot of Muniz goals came, I think, before game week 30, and I think 25 to 31, 32, that period. But the fact that he got those massive hauls in the double game week, I think game week 38 also he had the hat trick. So,
Yeah.
bit of recency bias, and they also value Palace, I think, a bit higher under Glasner. That
Yeah,
being said, I would
fair
have maybe
shout.
priced him at 7 and maybe Muniz at 6.5. I think 0.5 feels more fair rather than 1.5.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. I mean, this conversation tells me that Muniz is probably a touch underpriced, I reckon, if he continues on the same trajectory.
Especially on the data we look at, because his data was very strong.
Yep.
We'll get there
Yep.
soon. Now, another interesting pick I'm not seeing in so many drafts now, but was very popular when the game launched. Joao Pedro. But again, lot of low XG chances here. I'm just seeing 2 reds, couple of oranges there, but this doesn't look to me like a proficient striker.
One red is a penalty, by the way.
Yes,
That
of course.
center, that's the penalty as well. So
No, it says from through ball.
yeah.
Triangle is usually from a through ball. I don't think that the. Oh,
No,
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about the
about the
square. Yeah, the
square.
square. Yeah.
The square is that's the thing. So I mean, that's one thing. And I don't know. We know for sure who's starting. I think Welp starts game week 1. Honestly, sitting here today, I don't think Ladro starts game week 1. Like that's the thing. He could be an incredible pick. It's just he was first choice striker under De Zerbi doesn't necessarily equate to him being first choice striker under Hustler. Like if we've seen what we've seen from preseason, like Hustler probably needs somebody who helps bring Mitoma and Minte into play, and both of them are good at that. But Webbs is just very proficient to helping his inside forwards be more output heavy. So I don't know for
I don't even
sure
expect him to
whether.
play center forward. He can play across the entire, I think, front four, you
Yeah,
would say.
yeah. I'm not even certain he's definitely on penalties either. I just don't think we know at
I
the
think
moment.
if on the pitch, probably till he misses one at least.
Yeah. But I just feel like what we saw of him, especially under a team like Brighton, especially when a coach is completely different to what De Zerbi is, like there's a lot of readjustment that we need to do. You mentioned on that pod that, okay, we don't need to think of Brighton as a defensively leaky team anymore because Hustler does believe in much more control. Hustler believes a lot more in set pieces, etc. as well. Uh, I don't know if Brighton will be that attacking also. I mean, you think because they've got talented wingers in Mitoma and Minte, but a little more control should equate to not as many chances also, right? In terms of volume of shots, etc. as well. So, I just feel like with Brighton, I don't know. What I do know is something we're going to discuss on Monday in the midfielder pod.
I'd agree with everything you said there. Move on to the next one. Now, this is a big one. I want to spend some time on Kai Havertz. The interesting comments from Arteta. He's talking up Jesus a lot. Says that Jesus has come back fit, etc., looking quite sharp. Has that moved Havertz down the pecking order for you a little bit?
No, it hasn't. Like, even if Havertz is playing left midfielder, if Havertz is playing as an 8, his job is to be in the box. His
The
job is
shot map
genuinely to
shows
be,
that.
yeah. And if you think about it, like he was better than Saka in the final third of the season. I think it was the last 14 games, he had 8 goals and 9 assists. So that's like 17 returns in 14 games, like that high and output, but he was playing center forward. Also, Arteta, I mean, yes, this Jesus conversation is nice, but like Arteta doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to shift too much when it comes to a good moving thing. Yeah, there will be some games where he plays eight. And even if Jesus plays, right, I feel like it's going to be like a shifting role. Jesus, we know, likes to drift wide, etc. as well. So it could be like, okay, for 20 minutes, Havertz is going to come up and Jesus is going to hold the width. Then the next 10 minutes, Jesus is going to be playing up front. And then Havertz is going to hold width or playing as an eight. I don't think it's fixed. It's quite fluid. I just think he's a really good pick. I genuinely think Havertz is a good pick. I think he's first choice. Even if Jesus, Trossard, all that noise is there, he's really good and he's important and crucial to the Arsenal team. I think it's a very good pick.
I think if money was no object, he'd be my third striker over Watkins for the start. Would you agree?
I'm with you.
Just I can't afford him. It's not like I don't think he's a good pick.
And 2 juicy home fixtures in the first 3 games. You just like that. You just genuinely like that. So yeah. And I don't think he's better than Isak as a pick. I just think it's right there. It's as simple as that.
There's no reason not
Has
to
he
pick Havertz.
put has your sort of perception of Havertz gone down after Arteta's comments?
Slightly. I wouldn't say completely, but at least 10 to 20%. Because let's say in the first 3 game weeks, he could see Jesus start, but once the Champions League kicks in, it's going to be if and buts every week because they have signed Mikel Merino, who's a traditional eight. So that does free up more time for Havertz to play. But I think this season he might rotate the positions and the team a little bit more than he did last year.
Yeah.
So while he's still good at 8, I don't think he's an absolute captaincy material as he is when he is starting at center forward.
But I won't talk anybody off going for Havertz. One good point that they made on the Discord, and Arsenal fans have always been brilliant. I think Fredo made this point where he said that game week 2, 4, and 5 are Villa away, Spurs away, and City away. Like these sort of games suit Havertz. Havertz is not going to be playing as the 8 in these games. He's either going to be playing left forward or striker, because these are the sort of games that suit him further up the pitch, because they will want to play 2 proper 8s and a 6 behind them in those away games as well. So you're probably getting 3 games as center forward for sure out of the first 5 games.
Very impressive shot map.
Yeah. Lots of yellows, oranges.
A lot of yellows, oranges, a lot of reds.
One thing I want to shout out, credit to Arsenal, by far amongst all the strikers, the most number of triangles. So credit to Arsenal, credit to Kai.
That's Odegaard, I think. We have to give him a lot of credit for that.
That's Odegaard, and there's just, I mean, you saw the goals they scored in preseason yesterday also. Their chemistry in attack is bloody good. And it's a testament to Havertz's pitch intelligence also, which is a bit underrated. He makes these runs that he's offering to all these creative players that he plays around with. But I'm with you, I was bullish on him, like you asked me the question first, but because he's not playing center forward all the time, you maybe take down weightage percentage by 5-10%. Like I do agree with that sentiment.
Not more than that. Very good pick still.
Yeah.
The next one we were talking about, again, in the previous conversation, Ollie Watkins. Now this shot map is all over the place.
Yeah, but because because we're talking about a striker that tends to be in the center of the park. We're talking about a striker that is very much capable of creating his own chances and finishing those chances that he creates as well. I mean, he's got a shot at being the best player in the league. Like that's his ceiling, and he probably wants to be the guy as well. So yeah, Watkins is great. I mean, there is a world in which Villa have a preseason friendly over the weekend with their first choice team, and if Villa win a penalty with Tielemans and McGinn on the pitch, and Watkins takes that penalty, is going to rock my world. Genuinely, I'm going to be thinking about changing everything that I've thought of in terms of team structure, etc. Like I think it's going to not rock my world, it's going to be rocking all our worlds. If Watkins, you're going to give him 4 or 5 free extra goals out of penalties, we need to rethink our structure, I think.
Such a terrible penalty taker, though. That's the only concern.
That's a concern, but like, it's objectively speaking, 4 goals and 2 penalty misses. If you're just sort of weighing it down, he's still going to score 4 more goals. Like if you're going to get penalties, right? So like that's the thing with Watkins, and I just all of us need to be thinking about contingency plans if we don't start with him to have him in game week 3. I also think if I was going Haaland-less, I'd 100% have the next most expensive striker, even from a team structure point of view, in my team. Watkins needs to be in your team if you're going Haaland-less, I reckon.
Completely agree there. Would I think you'd probably get Havertz as a third then.
Yeah, Havertz, Isak, Watkins, or Muniz, depending on how you want it. But I would want Watkins if I'm going Haaland-less.
But still,
One thing worth mentioning, we're going to be discussing that, is he massively overperformed his expected assists. So while he might have how many goals did he score last season?
it says
Let me
19
check.
goals.
He had 19 goals and 18 assists. I don't think that 18 assists is reputable. Like he's plus 8.8 or 10.9 on his delta positive for XGI, which we'll dive into later. A lot of those are like sort of FPL assists, etc. I don't think that is a repeatable thing. I think 19-20 goals, Watkins, yeah, maybe even 20,
I think
23, 24
25
goals.
is
Yeah,
something Watkins could
doable,
hit.
doable, but those assists are too many for a player of his. What do you think the impact of UCL is going to be on Aston Villa?
Now, they did have Conference League last year, but I think Watkins was rested for a lot of those. You can't obviously do that this year. They're going to have to prioritize that, and it's a big deal. Villa are there after
It's a
a
big
long,
time.
long time in European competition. You might even see stronger lineups there. For example, you might see a Maatsen start in the Champions League, but a Moreno start Everton at home. It makes more sense, right?
Yeah. So we saw that with Newcastle last year. There was a little bit of not being as good as they were the season before that while they were in the Champions League. There was a little lack of sharpness. I mean, Tom Freeman did a beautiful article on Aston Villa. They've been doing team previews on the Scout now. And he mentioned that there was a massive dip in Aston Villa and Watkins's performance towards the end of the season. So, that was down to tiredness and fatigue as well. So I do think that Champions League could see some early subs, could see some impact on Aston Villa's fluidity this season. Like, I always feel like teams going into the Champions League for the first time, after a long time, this sort of stuff impacts them more than you think.
I think there's going to be more of a factor later on, the second half of the season rather than the first. But you're right. If they have a game on a Wednesday and a Saturday, it does make a difference. You go away on Wednesday, then again you go away on Saturday. It's not easy.
Yeah. But you don't need to worry about that for the first 4 weeks of the season. I think it's between game week 4 and 5, the first Champions League game. So
You're right.
you figure that then.
Now, Muniz. An interesting shot map over here. There's only one red, few oranges, a lot of low XG shots.
A lot of blues, man. But a lot of blues. Like genuinely a lot of blues. What do
A
you make
lot
of
of
that, man?
headers. I think when I looked at his shot data, he had 22 headers out of 50, 60 shots. And I think that's to do with the way Fulham play. It's still the way how Mitrovic, right? They used to cater to him with a lot of crosses. So I think it's quite similar, but he likes taking a lot of touches. He had double the amount of touches as Wood. So he does offer a lot in terms of the build-up play as well. And I think Jimenez is less competition to him than Taiwo is to Wood. And it's a fixture
Yeah, I
play.
agree.
I think I wouldn't be looking at him if Fulham didn't have such excellent fixtures. You have Manchester United, you have Leicester, then Ipswich, and then West Ham, Newcastle, who are not that great away from home.
Yeah. And it's something about Fulham that's been ingrained in my head since 4 or 5 years. Like I feel like Craven Cottage is like a dimensionally weird place
It is. I've been there.
compared to
It's very, very congested, very narrow.
like all the other teams. And I always feel like Fulham have a very distinct home advantage when they sort of play. It's just notionally existing in my head. And I like that 3 of their first 5 games are at home also. So yeah, I like Muniz as a pick. I think he's a short merchant. He's it's probably not as good as we might think, because look at that, a lot of blues, and you don't like so many blues in there. But he's just 6 million. That's probably FPL probably saw this, and that's why the price difference between Mateta and Muniz, and they're probably watching our pod and thinking, what the hell do these guys know? There is a genuine, distinct quality difference between the shots that these guys are taking. But he's a short merchant. I want to ask you, what do you think the impact of ESR is going to be on somebody like Muniz? Because ESR also is very much a box crasher, occupy space. Do you think it might actually benefit ESR because Muniz might occupy a defender or two and leave the open space for somebody like ESR? What's your thoughts between that equation?
I don't really know much about ESR as a player, honestly. From what I do know, he can play number 10. on the left wing. And like you said, he is somebody who's going to be arriving in the box a lot, not very similar to Andreas. Andreas is more of a
Yeah.
creator. I see Smith Rowe as more of a goal threat. So the point you make is good. Muniz could
Yeah.
stretch and occupy defenders and free up space for ESR. And that's something Jimenez actually does quite well too. Always
Yeah.
the guys, the midfielders around Jimenez have always done well. But I think
It's
he will
interesting
generally
because
make Fulham better.
yeah. DSL is a shot merchant though. He also loves to shoot on sight, and so is Muniz. Both of them love to shoot. If you think about the team though, Iwobi and Robinson from the left are the creative guys. Who plays on the right for them? Wilson,
Wilson?
Harry Wilson, I think. Yeah, Wilson probably play on the right. Yeah, man. So creative is coming from the left, and both of them are sort of short merchants. So I don't know, man. There is a world in which Muniz just makes ESR a better pick, also.
There's something I just spotted and I want to highlight now. It says XG from set pieces for Muniz is 2.03, XG from open play crosses 2.69, XG from through balls only 0.43, and
The
other
direct
XG is
give,
2.76. So look at that, from set pieces is so much and open play crosses. That's why he had so many headers.
yeah. Just fixtures, Marco Silva, and 6 million. And still, I know Lukic took a penalty in preseason. I don't think that necessarily equates to him taking penalties. I think it's up for grabs. It could be SR, could be Andreas, could be Muniz. I don't think we know for
I
sure.
think
Could be
it's wishful
Lukic.
thinking on our part,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Fair shout. Calling me out there. Fair shout. Fair shout. It is wishful thinking.
Because I've seen Pereira take penalties, Andreas.
Yeah. Is he the best 6 million midfield forward, Zoff?
I think in that price bracket, the very limited options. There's him, Joao Pedro, there's Wood, there's a new guy Wolves has signed, but we're not really going to go there. I think so. Purely as a fixture play for a more long-term view. Now, if you're looking to wildcard game week 4, you can make a case for Wood. But if you're looking for a longer horizon for 5 to 6 game weeks, I think he's well clear.
Yeah, man. Like I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. I felt like Muniz, not getting Muniz was sort of overthinking because he's there as a pick. Unless you're changing your structure up, he's just a good, solid, high floor pick.
Is he better than ESR?
We don't know that. We don't know that. And that is my worry. Where ESR being there and Muniz being there together might mean good things for ESR. Then we switch it up on our wildcard.
That's what I am as well. Because I think initially minutes might be a bit more sporadic for ESR. He played only half the last match and he said after the game he felt quite tired. So we're going to see a lot of 50, 60 minutes, I think, for the first few games of the season.
I don't know, man. I like him as a pick. We'll discuss on Monday. I like ESR.
Absolutely not faulting him. Just trying to say, I think initially a bit of more of a known quantity.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But they spent a ridiculous amount of money on him. They're going to throw him in there, I reckon.
Right, but you'd still have to get a player to fitness. You don't want him to get injured. But anyway, we are digressing.
Yeah.
Now let's not spend too much time over here. Johan Wissa.
We should.
Wissa?
Rumors
Really?
emerged. I mean, only because Ivan Toney rumors finally emerged today and Spurs are looking at them. So when Ivan Toney doesn't play, Wissa gets these flock of reds that are in the center of the box. So, like if Wissa was to become an option, because I think he's going to be playing center forward for Brentford, it's going to be an option when Ivan Toney is not there. And he's good, man. Brentford are reliable. Wissa is pretty decent. I just don't think his Muniz is good, but I just wanted to look at the reds and the oranges are more than Muniz. Like that's what I wanted to highlight.
Yes.
With
Because
Wissa.
that's what Brentford deal in. Brentford deal in few chances, but big chances. That's always been their specialty.
Exactly. 6 million though. I still feel like Muniz is just the better pick at that price.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see where Toney goes. A lot of good clubs and Manchester United are in for him. I have to get that.
Yeah. How many players did your team buy today? I think there were 2 signings that Chelsea did today also.
They're probably 16 and 17.
What's Todd up to, man? Genuinely, I have no idea what the hell he's up to.
I have no idea as well. I'm not a Todd fan.
Yeah. All right, man. Cheers.
All right. Now this is Stuart Armstrong.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Out of the promoted team strikers, the only one that probably looks like a really good one, game week 1 is Armstrong. And what struck out to me is 21 goals is fine, but he got 13 assists. So he's one of those guys that is capable of. Is it Stuart Armstrong or is it what's his first name?
Is it? I
Adam
think it is
Armstrong.
Stuart.
Adam.
Oh, right.
No,
Stuart Armstrong is the other one.
Suman
Right,
is the
right.
is the midfielder that we
Midfielder.
love.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And a little bit, he was in my FPL team a fair bit, but happy to wait and watch him. And I'm not willing to go into the 5.5 million bracket. I think Muniz is miles better at 0.5 more. So that's where I am. Just wanted to cite out that interesting data. At some point, we could use him if we're using a 3-5-2 or if Southampton have a good run of fixtures, but they don't at the moment to start with. So not for me.
Right. We're not covering a lot of these other forwards you see on the screen over here, like your
We know you're
Richarlison.
gonna you're gonna offend Maka from the Discord if you're not gonna discuss Gabriel Jesus, because our boy from the Discord, Maka Marvel, is looking at a Jesus punt for the first week or three.
That's adventurous.
He did start off the season really well. He screwed my season up 2 years ago, if you remember,
Oh, yeah.
having
I
three
do
or
remember. I
four
think
girls against
Leicester. Was it Leicester where he got the 22 point or something?
Southampton.
No, I'm pretty sure it was
Southampton,
Leicester where he got a massive haul. Leicester
one of those
at
teams,
the
man.
Emirates, probably.
And it's the same day that United lost 4-0 to Brentford also. The game Casemiro saw apparently where he said, okay, sign me, etc. And he's not done anything else for our club. But Jesus has a punt early on.
No. I think if you're looking at 7 million, I don't mind a punt on Fulkrug. I liked what I saw of him in the Euros. I think West Ham are a team that will provide him a lot of service. They look like I think Lopetegui likes a big target man, but I just wouldn't go there.
Don't want to go there, even for a week or 2 or 3, even though Jesus looked electric in preseason.
It becomes too performance dependent.
Yeah. Like as long as you know, Maka, that it's a punt. That's why I mentioned on Discord, it's a punt. I don't think it's a you wouldn't think he's nailed.
Talk to me
Though
about
I do think
Xerxes.
that if
I think
he's
let's leave Park Jesus. Xerxes in the same bracket. What's he like?
not a goal scorer, he's the
Firmino
kind of
type striker.
guy. Firmino type striker. He was asked in his interviewers also, what do you think about myself? He said, I'm not a genuine 9. I'm not a 10. I'm more like a 9.5. I'm different. I'm creative. Likes to hold the ball. Xerxes being there, saving this for the midfielder pods off, because I've been having feelings about this one player that I mentioned to you on more than a few occasions. So we'll just, let's just say that he's good for the FPL assets around him.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, for
All right,
those.
before we do this, let's do a sleeper plug as well.
Sure.
Before we get into this data.
Go ahead.
Right. So I think this is the right time to plug Sleeper, because we've already spoken to you guys multiple times about the Pick'em League, which we will do later. But also every time I tweet about Sleeper or talk about them, like anybody who's played American NFL fantasy tells me that they are the best platform for NFL drafts. So, now they have a draft system in place for the Premier League as well. And I feel like it's a good time to talk about it, because if you're doing a draft, which can be a snake draft or an auction kind of draft, organizing it this weekend is the best time to do it before the start of the season. When I'm playing drafts with my friends, it's normally 2 windows. It's either start of the season or we wait for the first or the second international break, because we allow people to give 3 weeks of information. The transfer window also closes before the first international break. So depending on when you want to set up an auction and a draft with your friends, now check out the Sleeper app, download it. It's on the App Store as well as the Google Play Store. And outside of the draft also, they've got the Pick'em League. Now, the Pick'em League is very easy. We're going to be covering it on our Gameweek 1 pod, where for every game on Gameweek 1, you need to pick one of 3 results: match, win, uh, win, draw, or loss. So let's say it's Chelsea versus United, for example. You either pick Chelsea win, or United win, or draw. And you get 1 point per correct prediction. You don't even need to predict the score lines. So it's not going to take you more than 5 minutes tops on that application. And why do you want to play this? Because it's easy. It's in a league format with your friends. And if you're joining our league, the season winner, top 2 people get a PlayStation 5, and rank 3 to 10 get Premier League kits of their choice. The monthly winners every month get a Premier League kit of their choice. And to take that even further, if you are a YouTube member or a Patreon member of the FPL Wire, one of the additional benefits, the top 3 in our Patreon league every month get a Premier League kit of their choice. So yeah, man, join the leagues. To our patrons and YouTube members, join that Discord league, because those odds are really good, silly good. And yeah, the links will be in the description below. If you can't find the app, just look for the Sleeper Fantasy app, and then you'll have the links to our leagues.
Yeah, there are a few people who post in the comment they're having some difficulty joining it via PC. You have to download the app on Android and Play Store, and then click the link that we have in the description. It's quite simple.
Yes.
Move on. Now let's review some player data.
Yes, man. Interesting.
Now,
Do you want to
big
do the rankings now or at the end of the pod, Zoff? I think end of the pod. Once we
Let's present all
Yeah.
our data first. Let me just enlarge this so people can see more clearly. Yep. Now this is looking at big chances first. Obviously, Haaland is a league of his own. Nico Jackson, number 3, is an interesting one. Now, Maresca did mention that he sees him as a center forward, but I don't know if he'll be getting as much game time. I don't think he'll be getting as many chances as he did last season.
Yeah. I want to point out that Isak, who played 30 games, had 40 big chances versus Watkins, who played 37 games, that had 33 big chances. The underpriced, overpriced thing that we spoke about at the start of the season.
Talk to me about Calvert-Lewin. He's a name we actually glossed over when we were talking about cheap strikers. It's primarily fitness for me.
I think he's a good pick. I completely forgot and glad. I should have actually asked Tom for that image because his image would have been really, really interesting to put out there. His shot map, if I'm trying to envision it, is going to be fully different to Muniz's. Muniz had all these blues. DCL is going to have much fewer shots, considerably fewer shots, but
21
he's
big
going to
chances.
have oranges and reds in the circle.
21 big
So,
chances
man.
from 62 shots in the box. So every third shot he took in the box was a big chance.
The only thing is, in the last couple of years, he's not been finishing his dinner. That's the thing. Even last season, he was worst in the league for XG underperformance. It's about whether you think. Worth noting, in the last 7 games in the league, he scored 4 goals. So he did end the season well. And that's what DCL is capable of. The fixtures are also not bad, man. If you really think about it, let me read out the fixtures for Everton. They were Brighton at home, Spurs away, Bournemouth at home, Villa away, Leicester away. Good fixtures to start the season with.
I mean, yeah, Tottenham aren't a good defense. And Villa's probably the only fixture you say is a difficult one over there.
And they're a poor man's Man City in the way they're supposed to play because they also do one thing which is create chances for the big man. Like if you think about Dwight McNeil, etc., and how they play, this is how they do. So I think I'm talking myself into watching Everton's preseason friendly this weekend and consider him as an option forward because I feel like DCL's fit at the moment and could be an interesting.
I guess you can say they're fit while they're fit. So you could take a punt over there, but I just don't want to pencil that in as a transfer I potentially have to make after he plays 90 minutes.
And he's capable of frustrating. He's capable of missing those chances. He's done a fair few amount of big chances, but there is a world in which his ceiling is very high because if he puts those big chances in, and you need to hit that streak for 4 or 5 weeks, and that's good enough.
Is Solanke a shoo-in if he transfers to Spurs? Some interesting comments from Richarlison today. He says he's not moving to Saudi. He wants to stay at Spurs.
Still think Solanke will make his way into first choice. And I think if Spurs need to buy Solanke, they'll need to spend upwards of 40, 50 million. I don't think they're doing that if he's not first choice. But Ivan Toney is the one that's linked to it today as well. So yeah.
But that's Levy. Obviously pitting the two against each other, right? He's never going to go all in on one forward. He's always going to play them in terms of price.
But let's say whoever the striker at Spurs is going to be, I am very interested. Like I think Gameweek 3, 4, 5, once that striker is bedded into the team, I'm going to go there.
Right, but I don't think anyone can buy Solanke now. I think with Bournemouth, there's too much uncertainty there.
Yeah. A couple of things I wanted to point out to you. Mateta with a huge chunk of big chances and
21 big chances from 45 shots in the box is insane.
Yeah. And that you don't see Muniz on this chart.
Because this is full season. Once I have some data for half season as well, he shows up well there.
Yeah, but just worth noting that he doesn't show up. And Vissa is there with 20 big chances. That's the thing we spoke about in terms of lower volume of chances, but a higher percentage of big chances.
Right, and he's going to be playing center forward now. I think Thiago is injured, the center forward they did sign. He's going to be missing the first 2-3 months. So in that aspect, I do like him. The fixtures are a little bit better early doors. I would look at it. The fact they have Liverpool away and City away in the first 4.
Yeah.
That's a major deterrent.
Now, before you discuss other slides, Satish from the chat was telling us that we should discuss our cheaper forwards as well. So let's just quickly do that for people going with a 3-5-2.
Yeah, I had that data, in fact. Let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody saw that and pointed us in that direction.
Right. Now, this is from the article that the scout wrote on the cheaper forwards about who do you think is likely to start. TLDR version, Jebison is the most likely to get minutes, but I think Stewart, he's been struggling with injury issues the last 2 years. But before that, for Sunderland, he scored, I think, 10 goals in 12 games, something like that.
I think if you're buying a 4.5 million striker, it's either Jevison or you mentioned Cannon on your team selection
Cannon,
video.
yes, but I
But
don't think so. I just like the name, a striker
okay.
who's called Cannon.
Jebison I like because there's a chance Solanke goes to Spurs, and if he goes to Spurs and Unai Unai, I forgot his
Enes
name.
Unal,
He's
yeah.
in Enes Unal is injured at the start of the season, so there's a chance he could be playing, which is essentially what you
Yeah,
want.
he'll
You
get
want a
subbed on.
striker,
At least you'd
yeah.
expect. You want a guy to get 1 or 2 minutes, and as a striker, you could always nick a goal towards the end of the games.
That's it. I've got nothing else to add on this slide.
Yeah. Again, Stewart or Jebison. Jebison for safety. Stewart, if we don't need him in the first few weeks, later on in the season, he could be a factor. But I don't think we'll get
All right.
anyone who's starting in this bracket, and understandably so.
All right, so before you do more data, throw in a like and subscribe plug. People listen to you. You're the genuine, authentic, non-marketeer amongst the both of us. So why don't you tell them?
Sure. So, guys, if you're enjoying the content we've been putting out, do give us a like and hit the subscribe button because there are a lot of videos that we are producing. So, there's no way you're going to know when a new content comes out. It's nice to see as soon as I put out my video, there are about 200 views, and like you could see, those are all from the subscribers and notification guys. So, we really
Yeah.
appreciate if you could help us out with that. And what should we do if we do hit 40K subscribers?
Let's discuss this on Monday when we have Pras. I
When
think
we have
he need to
Pras
be in
back.
agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah. He need to be in agreement. Yeah. Shout out to the ladies. Pras did send us a few pictures from Portugal, and we were warned not to show them. But I'll just say the abs were on display.
They were very much so. Temperatures going up in Portugal. Anyway, now conversion rates for the strikers. Now, this is now how many of their attempts. What's the conversion rate exactly for shots over here?
Shots to shots on target.
Target. Yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Mateta, again, obviously very high on that. Evan Ferguson is a player I really like, but I don't think
He's
anyone over
injured. Till
is
seven.
injured. Yeah, so I don't think. Let's not
Yeah.
spend too much time on this particular
Yeah.
table. Let's move on to it now. This is
No,
now more.
I just want to. I want to cite out the couple of good strikers. Mateta as 73%. Isak again, because we saw that he had a fair few shots from outside the 6 yard box also, but he's a really sharp shooter and he tends to get them on target even if he's shooting from distance. So I just wanted to cite that. And Wood was interesting as well because he tends to get big chances and he puts them on target as well. That's all. Wanted to just cite out this piece of data.
Non-penalty expected goal involvement for the entire season for forwards. Obviously, Haaland right on top. Nico J, second. I'm going to miss Nico J. Watkins in third, Nunes in fourth, Solanke. So many of these forwards are just not pickable now, right? Alvarez is gone.
At the moment.
That's what I'm saying
For
right
game
now.
week 1.
I think for game week 1, that's what I was talking about. The pool of forwards is quite shallow to start game week 1. I don't remember it being like this. And the thing is now, almost every club in the league I can think is playing one striker. Nobody does 2 up top anymore.
Yeah, nobody does.
So look at that. Like look at the top 6.
Wolves is doing 3 up top at the moment.
It's like from the top 6 over here, you just have Isak and Haaland who are selectable. Top 7, in fact, you include Alvarez.
Yeah. Interesting though, Calvert-Lewin, amongst the cheap strikers, he's right up there, man. 13 NPxGI, right up there.
The massively under, look at the delta. -6. By far the worst on this.
Yeah, man. Massively. And look at Watkins, +11 for delta.
Incredible, right?
That's all. Yeah, that's all that jumps out to me. Watkins is the assist.
Cunha is also a name we actually haven't talked about. He's supposedly fit. He had some injuries in preseason, but O'Neill said he expects him to be available for game week 1. But the fixtures put me off. Wolves have a very difficult start.
I have my own fixture ticker where I've removed 6-7 teams from the ticker and I haven't even bothered because they had terrible fixtures to start the season with. So I'm like, I learn from watching them in the first 2-3 weeks and then decide what I want to make of them. But it's worth pointing out that they have a 5.5 million striker who's like the 6'4" guy. And in preseason, O'Neill is playing in a way where they're playing to create chances for him. So Wang and Cunha have been playing off him, and this guy, I think Lundstrom or something of that I forget his name, is the guy who's playing in the center of the box. So
One
just
to
watch that
watch.
space. Yeah, 5.5 million.
Nobody else really stands out over here in terms of like negative delta. Joao Pedro, also massively underperformed, almost -5. Not a very good finisher.
Yep. Yep. We can move on from this one. I mean, we'll cite out things when there are
Yeah,
things to
again,
cite out as.
this is sorted by overperformance, which we already covered. Watkins and Mateta right at the top. Hoyland also there.
Yeah, man,
Wood,
he's a decent finisher. Like when he gets the chances, it's just that he was terrible at getting chances, or we were terrible at creating chances for him. So that's the thing with Haaland.
yeah, yeah. None of these other guys are really of interest. Semenyo, I think he could be set for a bigger role when Solanke leaves. One to watch.
What's his price?
I'm not even sure. I think he's a midfielder at 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. The chat will confirm.
Yeah, he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder. That's why I was wondering because I was looking at the prices anyway. Go on. Well, what do we have next?
Yeah, let's have a quick look at underperformers. I think this always interests me a bit more than to see who could be the next big thing. Obviously, Nunez is in there, but not as much as you'd expect. Calvert-Lewin and Joao Pedro are the biggest culprits along with Nico.
Yeah, man. So Calvert-Lewin, you could get lucky. There's a world in which you get lucky and he finishes his chances because he's going to get chances. The fixtures are there. There is a case for DCL. And also, one thing that DCL has that Wood and Muniz don't, Calvert-Lewin is definitely on penalties. Like there's
Yes.
one or two free goals
He
there.
took them in
So that
preseason as well.
that adds up, man. Like there is a genuine case here for DCL, something we need to monitor over this weekend and think
Everton
about.
created a lot of chances. I do remember first half of the season, especially they massively underperformed their XG. That's why they lost a lot of games by 1-0 despite dominating them.
And you like Daesh, man. And then the first 2 games are at home.
Good fixtures at home as well.
And the away game is Spurs. You just like that. That's a good first 3. I'm thinking about DCL.
Right. Now, shots on target for the entire season. Haaland right on top. Watkins second. Nunez, Isak, Alvarez, Nico.
This is important to point out because shots on target now increases the chances of bonus points also. So if there is a high volume shot on target taker, it's likelier that they are going to fall into more bonus points also. So you just like that.
I have some
Anything
interesting
that stands
charts from
out to you?
Fraser. I have some interesting charts on bonus from Fraser. We will get to that after we just cover all this data. But again, Muniz, this is for full season. He does show up there.
He does show up there. So we know that Muniz is a high volume shot taker, not necessarily high XG per shot. That's all. We can move to the next one.
This is what you were mentioning earlier, XG per shot.
Yeah. Beautiful table. Look at Wood, man. The amount of big chances he gets equates here. He had a 0.25 XG per shot. Your boy, Nico Jackson, is up there. He's up there when it comes to all the underlying data. Imagine what could have been. It must be said, though, that it is a skill to get so many chances also. So we will give that to our boy Nico. Isak tends to get a high bulk of big chances as well because his XG per shot is right up there. So is Mateta and Haaland's. Again, one thing that jumped out to me is Muniz doesn't appear on this table.
And he
So
wouldn't,
he
just from
doesn't
the
have.
data we've seen so far. It's pure volume.
Yeah, Watkins also not very high XG per shot.
I actually expected it to be lower, 0.16 is not bad when you consider like Haaland is 0.2.
Yeah, and Watkins likes to take a fair few chances from like tough angles. If you remember the
Watkins
goal he
shoots
scored
on
for
sight.
England.
He doesn't really wait for a clear chance.
And he's good. Like he's good.
I'd be interested to see how many of these are blocked shots. So, even though the XG per shot is high, I'm betting a lot of them are actually blocked attempts. I'll have a look at that data later.
If this is Statsbomb data, then it's probably not because Statsbomb does take that into consideration. Statsbomb takes into consideration that. Statsbomb takes into consideration how many people are in the center, what height the ball is shot at. It's a lot more valuable underlying expected goal data compared to Opta.
Right. I mean, I don't know whether they've implemented that for last season data or is just for data going forward. We'll have to clarify that with Scout.
Yep.
That's about it. Now let's have a look at the second half of the season data. Now I had to use outfielders because Havertz was a midfielder last year. We couldn't really see his data otherwise. Now this is now for game week 20 to game week 38. Second amongst all outfield players, Muniz with 57 shots in the box. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Shots on target. So shot merchant, man. and a high volume shot merchant. That's what we know. One thing about Mooney is his trajectory is quite interesting because he was like a fringe player. And like Fulham weren't planning for Muniz to be their striker. Like that's why they got Broya as the guy at the second half of last season on a loan. And I
And they
think
had
there
to
was a
play him a certain number of games, or they'd have to pay like a loan fee, and they just decided, screw it, we're gonna pay the loan fee. This guy's much
and
better.
then Muniz just exploded into this really good forward that they just stumbled upon. Do you think Muniz is that good or he was on a hot streak?
I don't think he's as good as his numbers were. I think it's maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's a dud. I think he's at the right club in terms of his level, and I think he's a good Premier League player. Like that's what my perception of him
And he's
is.
been given the number 9 shirt. It's always encouraging.
Yeah, always encouraging.
Apart from that, no other forwards really stand out over here. Now, yeah, Havertz numbers we wanted to cover. 40 shots in the box in the second half of the season, 9 goals. And again, 24 shots on target is a lot. Minutes per chance of 35, 16 big chances. Very
Yeah,
good
man,
numbers.
that is a lot.
He's even better when you look at NPxGI now. Non-penalty expected goal involvement, Palmer right on top, Haaland, Nunes, Havertz in fourth. That's ahead of Saka for that bit.
Yeah, man, he was equal to Saka in terms of just the amount of shots he was getting.
Apart from that, I think again Muniz over here is 8.77 NPxGI, which is about the same as the Solanke.
Yeah, which is good for his price, man. There's nothing wrong with what Muniz did.
Very
Is there
little
any
assist.
other cheaper forward above him? No. In the second half of the season, he was the highest for NPxGI in that price bracket.
Oh yeah, by considerable margin.
Yeah. I was just looking into the midfielder data because I wanted to know the XG per shot for Kai Havertz. Any guesses?
0.2.
Close. 0.16. A little lower than it. So he would be on the lower end of the spectrum of this table. So yeah. That
That's
said,
about it.
that data was the full season. Let me see if that data changes in the second half of the
Second half of the
season.
season is when he was playing centre forward more. Let's now
Yeah,
quickly
it
jump
should.
into Fraser's charts, where he discussed bonus points potential for forwards. On the x-axis now, you have non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 minutes. And on the y-axis is bonus per return. So now what you can see over here, obviously guys that get towards the top right corner, they get more bonus when they get a return. So now again, somebody like a Muniz who's going to land a large number of shots on target, he's going to be better in the bonus points conversation. So the outliers over here for our audio listeners. Now what's interesting here is Nunes. Even though his NPxGI is so high, his bonus per return is very, very low. Something like 0.7. Thoughts there?
Missed chances accumulated. That's what sort of happened in Nunes. And I think the fact that they're going to give bonus points for shots on target accumulated as well is going to help him become better.
It probably will improve that as well. But again, the
Yeah.
names that stand out on the basis of this analysis for bonus points would be Wood, Muniz, Joao Pedro to a certain extent, Isak, Haaland, and Nunes. Because even Watkins, you see over here in terms of bonus per return, not very good.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Solanke is a little bit better. Tony is very good for that.
I do think Watkins will fall into bonus though because
Right, because of the
Villa
changes
aren't
over here.
changes plus Villa aren't one of those teams. It's different for Arsenal and
No,
Watkins,
but I
right?
think,
Where
Adar, I think I've actually done Fraser a disservice over here. He's done this now with the new BPS changes. These are not as per
oh,
purely last season's data, so I should correct myself there. I'm sorry about that. So this is with the new changes we are seeing.
interesting. Interesting. The size of the circle for Watkins is pretty significant, irrespective though. That's the returns full season. Okay, that's not the yeah
So that's
bonus.
minutes per appearance. What you're seeing, the size of the circle, yeah, return full season is that, and the red you're seeing is the minutes per appearance he's getting.
It's sort of counterintuitive because I would imagine that Arsenal, I understand Havertz wouldn't get much bonus because Arsenal do get a lot of clean sheets. So there is a chance for the defenders to eat up into that sort of data. Whereas Watkins is the prime shot taking shot hogger in that XG hogger in that Villa team that concede a few goals. So they don't clock as many clean sheets as Arsenal do. So I thought Watkins would genuinely fall into more bonus points then.
But yeah, he doesn't benefit a lot from these changes as per this. Now, the second chart, now he's thrown an assist into the mix and he's calculated points over here. He's given 4 for the goal and 3 for the assist. And again, now calculating bonus points per return is quite similar. Again, now Wood is in fact very high up over there in terms of bonus. Muniz, Isak, Haaland, all projected to benefit from the changes.
Yeah, man. Forwards in general are just going to be better for bonus points this year, as our midfield does. That's all I have to say on that.
Havertz is not very good on this, surprisingly. Bonus points return for Havertz lower than 1.
And it's second half of the
It's
season
all second
too.
half of the season data.
Yeah. Interesting. Because I do remember that on the above average FPL pod, Havertz did improve, right? When it comes to bonus, they had his quantum of bonus points did go up by a considerable amount because they recalculated the data for Havertz as a forward later as well. So yeah, irrespective, man. It's worth pointing out that these are just like minuscule added advantages.
Just 7
But
to
they all
8
add
points
up
over a season. It's not much.
over a season. Not much.
It does
Right,
make a
man. Zoff, I
difference in
think
terms of captaincy, though, right? That's where it does
it
really, I think, tilt the
yeah,
scales for
yeah.
me.
Ranking time, man.
Ranking times.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Haaland number 1, end of pod.
And that's what we were talking about, right? This pod could be quite simple because Haaland and Isak seem so nailed now for everyone. Just
But
pretty much the third spot.
Yeah, I feel like it's not everyone. There is a 60% of the game that is fighting going without Haaland, which is why I was like, it would be doing them a disservice if we didn't give them substantial reasoning into why we are thinking the way we do about Isak and Haaland. But so those are top 2 for both of us. That's the long story short. Let's do Watkins or Havertz if you're picking one of them in a premium front 3.
Havertz.
Not Watkins?
Just having a full preseason. I like Arsenal's for game week 1, game week 3. And also, you can't completely ignore preseason. They looked so good yesterday. Arsenal against Leverkusen, who were undercooked. But I'd expect Arsenal to come out firing. And I think now I was having a look at the bookies' odds to win the league now. City and Arsenal are in another bracket altogether now. Now that Klopp has left, Liverpool have been downgraded significantly. So you're getting a striker for a title challenging side at 8 million. It's just a good pick.
Oh, man. I'll go Watkins. I just think like he's got maybe another gear in him as a player. Like Havertz still strikes to me as somebody who plays for the team more than he plays for himself in general. Whereas Watkins is
We used
like
to
big
say that
dog.
about Watkins, I think a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's changed under Will. And I think he might have another game. Like 19 goals to 25 goals a season is a significant jump. But both of us agree that he's capable of that.
Very much so.
Whereas we won't be surprised and we will think Havertz has a good season if he has a 15-goal season in the league.
I think he's got a 20 in him as well. I rate Kai Havertz. Even when we signed him at Chelsea, huge fan. I'm just delighted it's working out for him now. There's absolutely no ill will when you see, like, a lot of times you see a player go to a different club and do well. It's like an ex-girlfriend. You don't want her to see happy with somebody else. But I have none of that towards Havertz. Wish him all the best.
Nice. I'll do one bracket, 6 to 7.5 million. Best striker? Havertz?
7.5 is, you're discounting Solanke. You're discounting Tony.
Havertz is 8, okay.
Yeah, so these two guys are obviously, we don't know where they're going to end up, and that's going to tilt the scales. But on current day, I would probably say Muniz, Wood.
No. Above the Muniz bracket, because I don't want to touch that bracket. We'll discuss that as a separate.
Who do we have that's pickable? Mateta is not going to be available game week 1 as of now, what we think. If obviously,
or could be available.
If he is in
so you're saying Havertz,
he's pretty much the only one who is pickable, right? You can't pick Solanke or Tony.
Let me see. I'm sorting by price. You got Solanke, Tony, Nico, Mateta, Darwin, Gakpo, Gabriel Jesus, Alvarez, Holland, Xerxes, Wilson, Richarlison, full crew. Nobody there.
None of them are pickable.
None of them. All right, then let's go 6 million bracket, like 6 million or under. Top
Muniz,
2.
Muniz, Wood, Pedro.
All right, I'm going Muniz and closely followed by DCL. Like, I think the conversation that we've had today has me think about DCL much more seriously than I would have otherwise. I still think Muniz makes my game week 1 draft.
I'll just be so upset with myself if DCL breaks down after game week 1.
Yeah. Fair shout. And I feel like I've been so like going to DCL after promising myself not to overthinking on Muniz. Like going to DCL would be a little bit of overthinking. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of that unnecessary street smartness. But DCL is a pick that interests me.
It would be
Like
an
if he
LR
does
1.0
bit,
move, though.
look at you playing the mind games there. Look at you. Look at you. All right, man. I think that's it at our end. We did pretty good at covering. It was nice. It always nice to do like a 2% pod as well. It always feels a little more like old schoolish. No disrespect to
Yeah,
past. We
it's a
love
bit
them and
short
can't wait
also.
to.
I think we hit about 75 minutes versus almost 2 hours for the defense part. Because, yeah, I don't think there was as much to cover for forwards.
I I think 75 minutes is more than I presumed. I thought we'd be done in 60 minutes today. Given that it's two people, it's much more succinct to talk about, etc. as well. So yeah, what plans this weekend? I need to figure out how I'm going to watch the Community Shield on Saturday, man.
Yeah.
That shit
The
rocked my
lot of
world.
friendlies to take in because I think Newcastle are playing 2 games, and that's what's going to be interesting also because a lot of teams are playing 2 games. From what I read, Newcastle are playing like that, Liverpool are playing like that. Are they going to mix and match players? Are they going to start the clear first 11? Because this is what we look at. The last group of friendlies is what we assume is going to be the starting 11, and that's a reasonable assumption to make. But this year, with all the internationals, etc., it's quite tricky.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think that's it from us. Keep the notifications on because I'll probably be doing like a team selection video over the weekend as well. I might have a small big hitter analysis video as well for you guys. So that could be in the conversation. On Monday, we'll be doing a deep dive on midfielders. On one of Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be doing the Game Week 1 pod. We'll have a draft discussion pod. So yeah, man, make sure hitting like, subscribe. We don't know how much content we're going to do, but this is the minimum we're going to do.
Yeah.
Any last words off?
Nothing much. There's a comment in the chat from Sir Matt's Bugsby. LR, you should dress up like DCL if he bombs, so you could try the whole ponytail.
Yeah, man. I don't mind DCL. I think he's got some kick-ass passion game, man. And then, like that's one thing
Oh
that we
yeah, I
love
remember
from
seeing that
DCL.
photo shoot that he did a
Yeah,
while ago.
yeah. Did you have him when he started the season off really well 3 years ago? I had him,
I,
and I
I
have
didn't
good
have him
memories
game
with
week
DCL.
1. I got him game week 2. I remember you had him when he scored at Spurs as well. I got him a few
Yeah,
game weeks after that. That was when under Ancelotti he was doing the whole thing with like Inzaghi. He has to stay in the center
yeah,
of the box and all that stuff.
yeah, man. He wouldn't move away from the 6 yard box. So yeah, that's what. All right, man. That's it. We won't push this further. I'm gonna go grab some dinner. Good luck, guys, and we will see you soon.
See you. Thank you for joining us. Hit like and subscribe.